Hey, welcome to the All About Acrylic video. So if you're in my AP Studio Art class, you've been given all these materials to use for acrylic painting. You do need a few other items, and I'm going to go through them so you can get all your stuff ready, and then you'll be ready to paint today. First of all, you're going to have to clean up at some point, so you'll need some kind of a cup. Don't ruin something nice from the kitchen, filled with water. About halfway should be good. Regular water is fine for cleaning up acrylic. You're also going to need something to keep your paint on while you're working, and you do have a few options. Now, I did not provide a palette because I could not afford to give everybody a palette, but there are many on the market that you can buy that are already made. Here are some examples. This is a hard masonite and then covered in paint, coating, and then covered with actual leftover paint. This one has a hole cut out so you can hold it like that when you're standing up. This one is from the classroom, so as you can see, it's been abused. If you don't clean it up right after you work, it will leave this kind of stain. But I do have many of my own that are still clean because I clean up after every usage. If you don't have that, you also can do other things. For example, the disposable palette. Everybody loves these because you don't have to clean up anything, and it's wax paper. Okay? Now, it's coated wax paper, so it's not exactly what you would get if you were in a kitchen. I'd say it's closer to parchment paper if you want to use something from the kitchen. Now here's why you want to use something from the kitchen, or at least not a paper towel. Paper towel will absorb the liquid in acrylic, and acrylics are made of water and binder or plastic. So the water will actually be pulled out of the paint and into the paper towel. Paper towels are great for cleanup, but not for a palette, so please don't make that mistake. So if you don't have this, if you don't have a real palette, what else can you do? Piece of cardboard, this one happens to be cut round, but any piece of cardboard has a good support. But don't just use that, because again, the acrylic will absorb right into the paper. If you have parchment paper, because you like to bake, you'll have a surface that's very similar to this stuff in these disposable palettes. Second best would be actual wax paper, if you have that. And also another one is aluminum foil, which almost every household has some of that, even if they don't have the other items. If you cover this with aluminum foil, it'll really make sure that your paint doesn't dry out while you're using it. And that's important because you're going to be using small quantities of paint, and it will dry faster because they're small puddles. So a piece of cardboard covered in wax paper or parchment paper or aluminum foil, but definitely covered with something. Or, of course, a disposable palette or an actual palette that you can buy. Or here's something else you can try. If you have a nice shell, maybe from a beach trip, or you just collect them, these clean up really well on the inside. I won't use this one because I've used it to hold soap for the studio here at my house. So it has a weird kind of slickness to it that I don't want to mix with my paint. Either way, an inside of a large or even a small shell will work as well. It will stain, but it'll look kind of cool. Okay? Now also you need paint, of course, and you guys have been given 13 colors, small tubes like this. These hold 2 ounces each. Today I'll be using black, red, blue, and yellow. These 3 primary colors plus black. And then also you were given a large tube of white, a Liquitex white, and that's because you'll need white for lots of different things. So it's the one I had, then I was able to afford to give you a large tube, okay? Now anything that's called acrylic can be mixed with the paints that you've been given. So if you don't like the colors, or you realize you need more or want more, you should buy acrylic. You don't buy oil paint, you don't buy water-based oil paint, you buy only acrylic. Acrylic comes in 2 different kinds. Usually it comes in tube type like this, and then it might also come in flip cap tubes like this. Now the paint that I put in here is actually the thicker bodied paint. Usually you can find paint in tubes like this. This is acrylic paint also, but it is thinner. This is great for craft projects, but also small paintings, and for sure changing or mixing color. You'll also need some brushes. Remember that I gave you 2 sets of brushes, so you'll just need one of those sets, and that one we'll use for acrylic. And then you'll also need something to paint on. I've given you a 10 sheet 9x12 canvas pad. So every single sheet in here is an actual piece of canvas. It's the real material, and it is primered on one side, meaning it has been layered with a coat of white gesso, so it's ready to paint on. The other side is a little bit rougher and does not have the primer. If you're unsure which side's which, the one's facing up when you first open it, that's the side you want. Now, to work on canvas pad, if you're working on a painting for a while, you'll probably want to tear the paper out, tear the canvas pad. This is actual canvas, it's not paper, excuse me. You'll tear it out and then maybe tape it down to another board or some surface, okay? You don't have to, because it won't buckle and warp like paper does with watercolor, but it gives you a nice border edge, and the paint does take time to dry, so to keep it safe maybe. Now, for today, what we're doing, it's the first thing you're going to do in this pad anyway, so we'll just keep it in the pad. It should be fine, okay? And we're going to be making some value bars on a piece of canvas pad just like this. So, canvas pad, something to put your paints out on, like a palette, your paints, your brushes, and your cup of water. Alright? Also be sure that your work area is clear, and if you've got carpet, that the carpet area is covered, because a little drop of acrylic will dry as a kind of hard spot of plastic. It'll stain clothing too, so be sure to wear an apron. Alright? Go ahead and get your supplies ready, and then when you are set, we'll go into the next video where we'll talk about the actual project.